Hey guys, welcome back to Book Club for Movies. This video is going to be a little weird, a little disjointed. I'm filming this currently on my lunch break since I haven't had time to film it all this week, and I really need to get some things out of my head before they disappear forever. First thing is, this is going to be the haul from that trip I've been teasing over the last couple videos, and I do have a haul for you all. I've got a haul to end all hauls, essentially. But before I do that, I do want to briefly talk about a movie that I did see before I left on that trip. And that is a movie by the name of Intruder. I don't have it in my hands because, spoilers, it did end up going to Mckay's. And that is where a majority of this haul is from. But I do want to say, first things first, rest in peace, Scott Spiegel. I had no idea who he was when I talked about his movie when I picked it up in that 4 for 40 a couple weeks ago. I had no idea he was the co-writer of Evil Dead 2 and one of Sam Raimi's best friends. So I do want to say he did pass away recently, and I do want to say rest in peace to Scott Spiegel because he was an artist and he did create some good work in Evil Dead 2 and even in Intruder. I still haven't seen From Dusk Till Dawn Part 2, which he did direct, but I will say Intruder and Evil Dead 2 are enough of a legacy to remember him fondly by. Because I'll tell you one thing, I'm never going to watch Hostel Part 3. Intruder is very much a slasher film brought to you by some of the people who made Evil Dead, and that you can really see that in the camera work. There's a lot of point of view shots from everything. You've got point of view shots from the floor as it's getting swept. You've got point of view shots from the phone as it's being dialed. You've got a lot of point of view shots, and it really does separate this from a lot of other low rent, low budget slashers. This is a slasher film that is set in a grocery store, and they take that to the full extent that they can. Apparently they rented a grocery store and they filled it all with damaged merchandise. So when you see things get destroyed, nothing was going to waste because they essentially rerouted all of this damaged merchandise from going to a landfill. So if you see the scene of the guy stacking cereal boxes and all the cereal boxes are pre-dented, that's why. All of this is expired, damaged merchandise, so they can just run amok with it all. I'll say the kills are good. All of the horror gags really do work, and they go to everything they can inside a grocery store. They've got a weird, dumbwaiter system. They've got a weird treadmill system. They've got the deli slicer. They've got the thing they run the sides of beef through to separate the steaks. They go through all of that. But the movie should not be called Intruder. Apparently the film was shot under the title The Night Crew, and the producers did not feel that that title was really marketable enough. I think The Night Crew works better for the title of this film than Intruder, although personally I would have called this movie, Clean Up in Aisle 9 or whatever. Because I feel like that gets more along what you want from this movie, which is really, you're just going to see people die horribly in a grocery store using grocery store items. I'll tell you, this movie is mismarketed on the Blu Ray release and apparently in a lot of the re-release posters, where at the top it'll say Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi. Sam and Ted Raimi are main characters in this movie. Bruce Campbell shows up for 30 seconds maximum at the very end. So if you're looking to see this for Bruce Campbell, you're not going to see Bruce Campbell except for that last 30 seconds. And I will say the ending is a disappointment. The ending really makes this film fall flat, and I really wish they ended on more of a higher note than what they end on. But I would say the film is worth your time. It's labeled as a gore film. Maybe I'm desensitized because it's really clear when they cut to the horror gag, and the gag is well done. The props are good, the kills are good, But it's not like, again, it's not like a Saw film where people are like gushing fountains or it looks too realistic. No, 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 no. When you see a man get run through a meat slicer, you will like see the hard cut before it cuts to like the prosthetic and the dummy that gets run through the blade. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5, and it did end up going to Mckay's on this trip that I took. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about my trip. I've actually got a little PowerPoint over there that I'm going to be kind of referring back to, and I'm going to be intercutting the slides in with this video. We're trying something different today. I took a trip to the Great Smoky Mountains, but I really took this trip as an excuse to visit Mckay's in Knoxville. Now, I've grown up going to all of the Mckay's locations in North Carolina. Greensboro, when Greensboro was around. Winston, even at the old location. Now it is Winston and Mebane as the 2 locations in the state. And last year, they did a Mckay's road trip promotion to celebrate their 50th anniversary. And they were not expecting the amount of people who took off work for it, and they essentially broke multiple cities. Mebane, Knoxville, a couple other places were essentially just like, stop coming here. They kept changing the rules of the promotion because they had that many people show up. But that's what let me know that there were Mckay's outside of my local area. I thought it was just a local thing. I thought it was just, in my triad surrounding area. And then I hear there are some in Tennessee. And I'm like, I would like to go to those. And then I hear that the one in Knoxville is the oldest and the largest of the locations still around. And I said, you know what? We're going to go to Knoxville. And then we'll drive further down and go to Sevierville and Gatlinburg. Okay, good excuse to go for, some nice scenic locations. My wife deemed this trip the Bloodle Hunt because I was hunting for Blu Rays. And essentially, if you give me a budget and you tell me we're going to Mckay's, think of it like this. The rest of the year, I'm pretty much, picking up 1 to 2 movies at a time. If you tell me we're going to Mckay's and I've got money and trade credit, it's no longer my normal hunt of like, I'm looking for this movie in particular. If they've got it, I'll get it. You give me that much money, you give me a budget, I'm loaded for bear. I'm ready to go. So for this entire trip, I gave myself a budget of $200. And I had the joke that this was my fake birthday, because my birthday is much later in the year, but you can't really plan trips in this area in winter because weather ruins everything. So we decided to go, end of October. And I joked that we were traveling hours to buy local. Because some people might think that I'm crazy. And I'll tell you that I am crazy when it comes to physical media. Because they'll say, why don't you just buy the movies you want already, on Amazon, online, various retailers. That removes a lot of the fun for me. I like the hunt. I like going to a place and seeing what they have. If they have what I want and it's at a good price, I'll get it. Just being able to purchase every single movie that I'm interested in on Amazon is not fulfilling. It cuts out all of the fun of the process. It's me literally just saying, I want this movie, I buy this movie, it comes in 2 days. Now, where's the fun in that? Also, it's much harder to keep yourself budgetarily restrained if you are just infinitely ordering on Amazon or other retailers. I can buy every movie ever online, but then I lose the impact of each movie as it comes into my house, as it joins the library. And also it keeps me from hoarding, because this way I'm incentivized to always have things go out as much as things come in. So I had built up a trade pile over the last several months. As you've seen in these videos, many movies were labeled as going to Mckay's. This is the fruits of that labor, essentially. But outside of trade credit, I gave myself a hard budget of $200 cash across every place that we visited to buy things for my fake birthday. And I also was just very curious. Would buying local, now I know I drove several hours and some point I crossed the state line, did buying local save me any money? Would it save me money going to these places, once a year, or in Mckay's case, the local ones, once a quarter, as opposed to buying the films I'm interested in a la carte? But when I'm telling you I'm going to Mckay's trip, it's like I am the hermit coming down the mountain, getting all the supplies I need for the next season. Because essentially that's what it is. I will have, if you watch people who react to like Dollar Tree YouTubers or like bargain store content, they have Dollar Tree blackouts or they have no memory of what they've purchased. When I get to Mckay's and I've got trade credit, it's essentially the same thing, where it's just like I just black out and then we see what I have when I leave the store. Now, the parameters of the slides that I've got queued up to show what I'm going to show you all is I have the purchase price that I bought the item at whatever store. I'll let you know if it was cash or trade credit, and that's compared to the Amazon current lowest price. Now, this is also going to be in regards to the condition of the item. If I bought it used, I have to use an Amazon used listing, which is going to be more handy, especially as some of these items have come on sale on Amazon in their new condition since I visited these stores. But I will show you, if you ever ask me, where'd you get this from? When I made this PowerPoint earlier this week, these were the listings that I was able to source. I'll also be listing in the eBay lowest sold with closest to 1 week of when I took this trip. So if I wanted this movie and I bought it on eBay, what was the lowest sold price for that condition as far as I could find close to that day? Halfway between where I live and Knoxville is Asheville, North Carolina. And I learned from my trips and my travels and just being somebody who buys physical media that there's this great store in Asheville called OrbitDVD. And I will tell you, Orbit is great with an asterisk of you have to be trained on OrbitDVD. Because if you're somebody coming in off the street, never been there before, it could be a little difficult to find things. Because if you walk into Orbit, you got your 4Ks, you've got the bargain section, you've got all of their used movies, then you've got general, which is everything else, then you've got imports, and then you've got horror across the wall. And then you've got other stuff interspersed, like more used movies, discounted clearance movies. All of these things are kind of just strung apart the store. And they are constantly taking online orders. So essentially, if you place an online order, somebody will immediately take your order and go shop it in the store. Because unlike a place like Mckay's, everything that's currently in that store is on their website. Which means if you come in looking for a specific item, somebody else may have purchased it in the brief hours since you said, I'm going to go to the store, I'm going to get this. Somebody else may have essentially beat you to that item. And that's what happened to me both times that we went. Spoilers, I'm crazy. We went here twice. Because I went here with the intent of spending $100. I said there's a lot of things that I want to purchase here, but I'm going to limit myself to $100 on this first stop. I ended up spending $99.45. $99.45. Now let me break down every item that I got. Because I'll tell you, Orbit is great if you're looking for very specific things. But if you're going in there just saying, I want to buy some movies, you're going to be overwhelmed. Especially with how broken up everything is. So if you're somebody who's interested in like the things I found here, if you live in the area, give yourself some time, walk around the store. If you don't live anywhere near Asheville, probably want to buy online just so you can get a more easy browsing experience, because it can be overwhelming. Now, I did get 6 items at Orbit with that hard budget of $100. And when you see the breakdown of what I got, you can understand how I ended up spending $99.45 on 6 items. The first thing that I ended up getting, because I saw that it was there when I was on the website, is I got a used copy of Frankenhooker. Now stop. I'll let you know, Frankenhooker is a fun time. It's not nearly as, let's say, disgusting or as raunchy as that title may sound. I streamed this on my cruise earlier this year while my wife took a nap, and I was just having a great time, just laughing it up. It's a good horror comedy, legitimately. And when I tell you there's a scene where hookers take super drugs and start exploding, that's the highlight of the film, but that does not detract from the rest of the enjoyment of this film. It's the only Frank Henlotter film I've seen. I still need to see Basket Case. I still need to see his other works. But Frankenhooker is a movie that kind of varies in price all the time. I think it retails for like $20, $25, and I saw, it typically goes on sale between like $20 and maybe $17, $18. When I saw that Orbit had Frankenhooker used for $12.99, I'm thinking I would like to, I'd like to share this movie with a friend or two. I'd like to see this movie again. This movie is going to go on my shelf by default. And so I picked it up for $12.99. Now, the current Amazon used price of this movie was about $15.36, and the most recent eBay sold listing was $15.99, which means that me buying it at Orbit pre-tax saved me $2.37. We're already starting on a high note. Now, the next movie that I ended up picking up is an interesting release. Now, I did promise a friend of mine that I would go and get actual movies on this trip. But he did say, you're going to say that, but your bad habits, your normal habits, are going to sneak on through. And that could not be more true, because one of the better, or I'll say artier movies that I picked up at this stop is it's a little movie by the name of Body Double, which I've always been interested in. And this is essentially what if Rear Window happened to a sex worker. And I'm interested in that. But this is also an interesting release, as this is the Twilight Time release. Now, Twilight Time was a boutique label that went away during COVID. Twilight Time is an interesting collector's item because some of these movies that Twilight Time put out never came to other boutique releases or even a standard Blu Ray format. That's not the case with Body Double, but Twilight Time would limit all of their releases to 3,000 copies. Which means if there's a movie that's never made it to Blu Ray otherwise, it's going to have a much higher price on the secondhand market. I'm thinking of a little movie by the name of 9 to 5, which has never come to Blu Ray outside of Twilight Time, which is crazy to me, because that's like a normal movie that people know. It's the movie the song came from, but that costs at least $100 on the used market if you're lucky. Because again, there's only 3,000 of those floating out there in the world. This is not that case, but this was the cheapest way I could see this movie, and then I have a little interesting collector's item if I end up keeping this movie. I picked this up used at Orbit for $12.99, and currently on Amazon, this movie is retailing used for $34.52. But when I checked eBay, the most recent sold listing and the lowest price was $16. So pre-tax, I only saved $3.01. which still is not nothing. Can't wait to see this. You tell me you got a sleazier Rear Window, and I said, what could be a better Rear Window than Fright Night? I love Rear Window as a format. Rear Window is a good genre to rip off. The next movie I picked up is more well regarded, but since it's a movie I've not seen before, I couldn't, let's say, justify purchasing the new Criterion release of it. I picked up a little movie by the name of Altered States that I've always wanted to see, and I picked this up at Orbit used for $9.95. Now, the current Amazon price at the time of me recording this is $10.15. But it did sell at eBay recently, used, for $8.47, which means, technically, I overspent $1.52 on this release. But let's see how things come out the wash at the end of this video. Next movie I picked up is in that Orbit clearance bin. They have basically a lot of movies shrink wrapped that are either damaged, clearance, they've got overstock, but they're not bargain films. They're a little more expensive than their bargain films I'll talk about later. But I picked up a little collection for $10 known as Drive-In Delirium 60s and 70s. Now, what this is, for those of you who may not be aware, is this is essentially a trailer compilation of the schlocky films, the grindhouse films, the exploitation films, and this one is of the 60s and 70s. This is an interesting release. As you can see, there are over 140 trailers on here, entirely uncensored. And when they say uncensored, they mean uncensored. That 80s one was very, very much loaded with nudity. So this is not the movie you put on for the family to have in the background. But if you've got some friends over, maybe some cold drinks, you just want something on in the background so you can talk over it so that way you're not missing anything in a movie, this might be your jam. And I was able to pick this up for $10 brand new, which is not MSRP for this movie. This movie retails currently on Amazon, brand new, $37.75. But on eBay, it's currently sold most recently for $15.25. So I still ended up saving $5.25 on this release. The next movie I ended up picking up is very specific to my goals for this channel, which is finally that long-promised video I've been telling you about for months as to what happens if you have something you want to watch, but it does not exist in your region's coded format. Now, what's a better use case? Like the lowest amount of people are going to be interested in seeing this movie. Hopefully I won't get copyright claims showing how we're going to watch this later. But what I have is such a specific oddity that I had to pick it up because I really wanted to see this. But it only exists in Region B, obviously. I picked up this little release known as Cooking Price-Wise, which is a unreleased, it aired once, an unreleased Vincent Price cooking show from the early 70s. There's a cookbook tied to this show that I have not purchased yet. 143 minutes. It's only a handful of episodes. There's some additional material on here from like Vincent Price's daughter and things like that. But this is a Blu Ray that understandably is only available in the UK. Except for Orbit. I bought this at Orbit for $21.99. This is a very oddity release. This is not like a mass manufactured release. This is BFI, if you're wondering about the label. This is the British Film Institute, essentially. And it is hard-coded Region B. I've got that video coming in the future. I have a lot of content coming in the next couple months. I need to do a proper hotel review of all the hotels that I visited on this trip, and that will be coming as well, I promise. Oh, where is my apologies? I've already forgotten my own format. I picked this up at Orbit for $21.99, and the current Amazon price of this item new is $22.45. Which is a bargain compared to the most recent eBay sold listing, which had the lowest price of $34.98. So compared to the Amazon price, I saved 46 cents. I picked up one more thing at Orbit, and it's also perfectly in line with that new video I'll be making for you all in the near future. It's a little movie by the name of Megalopolis. Now, if you're normal, you're thinking, what is Megalopolis? Megalopolis is a movie made by the great auteur filmmaker Francis Ford Coppola, the man who made all three Godfathers, okay? He sold his winery, the only thing that brought him money over his career. He sold the winery to get the money to make his passion project. And it came out and outright tanked. It tanked. And then it was available on streaming for a rental for about 2 weeks. And after that 2 weeks, it has been unavailable to watch in any way whatsoever. And you cannot purchase this film in a US format. The only way you can watch Megalopolis is to import it from overseas, either in region-locked Blu Ray or in region-free 4K. When I went to Orbit, they did not currently have the region-free 4K in stock, which worked out better for me because this region-locked Blu Ray cost $24.99. Which, as we all know, is above my sweet spot of $15 when I'm spending actual money on things. But what's a more perfect use case for me to show how can you get around region locking than a movie with actual people in it, made by an actual filmmaker, that you are unable to watch legally in this country? More on that coming later. This from Amazon currently costs $28.02, with the most recent eBay listing selling for $34.51. So Orbit ended up saving me $3.03. All of that together, again, cost me $99.45, which is a lot for me. But I went in with a budget mindset of $100, and I knew exactly what I needed to find. My heavy hitters for this trip were finding Megalopolis, finding cooking price-wise, and then I wanted to find a couple other things that I was really interested in. They were out of stock of a couple movies that I was really looking forward to seeing, but you know me, unfortunately I've always got, 1 to 200 movies constantly spinning up here as I want to see that. I want to see that right now. And if you want to see the cost breakdown of how much buying local saved me as opposed to eBay, now all of the prices I talked about were including free shipping. So shipping included, or the cost of shipping, or free shipping, that was the total cost of those items referenced from eBay and Amazon. So if you see this cost breakdown here, the only movie I overspent on was Altered States. But if you calculate all of the cost savings I had across all of the other movies, buying all this at Orbit ended up saving me $12.60. Fantastic! I saved a little money buying local. I saved more than 10%. Good to know. Again, this was kind of an afterthought thesis of me being like, did I save any money buying all this stuff? Now, when I tell you I went loaded for bear to Mckay's, I had a big trade-in pile. Massive trade-in pile. And I was already coming in with $36 in trade credit. And when I tell you I walked into this Mckay's and I immediately got mad, is because Knoxville has the best Mckay's. It is big, it is beautiful, there's plenty of parking. There's 2 stories. There is an elevator in this Mckay's. And it's laid out entirely differently from Winston. It's laid out entirely differently from Mebane. They don't have all of the movies together. They have most of them together. But then if you want to see, documentary or thriller or classic, you gotta take the elevator up to the 2nd floor. And then if you want to see animated films or children's or animated series, you gotta walk across the entire top floor. through all of the vinyl to get to the animated section at the end of that top floor. We didn't even make it to the books. We were there for hours and we did not make it to the books. I was planning on buying books this trip. Didn't make it there because I spent so much time in their media section. To the point where it's like, as somebody, me personally, I don't think I ever have to go to the Mebane location again. Which is painful for me, because I love Mckay's, but I'm thinking, if I plan on going to Knoxville, maybe once a year, if I just need a quick fix of Mckay's, I might drive all the way to Winston and get a couple things. But if I know I'm going to be going to Knoxville, maybe once a year, I might just hold off and get my fix in at Knoxville. Especially based on what I got here on this trip. So to start off with, I got 8 items at Knoxville Mckay's. So the first item I got was at the top of my list, is as you've seen, I've been rewatching all of the Scream films this year, and I've never seen 5 and I've never seen 6. So the first film at the top of my list was Scream 5. I really wanted to see Scream 5 and I was going to pay whatever it cost me to see it there. Scream 5 is listed for $10.95 in Mckay's credit. The current Amazon pricing is $11.85, and eBay sold $14.98. So even though I spent, now, this is again, we're going to talk about what the trade credit ended up being, even if I had to spend actual money here, this cost $10.95 in trade credit, and if I had bought it anywhere else, I would have to have spent at least 90 more cents. And right next to Scream 5 is its close personal friend, Scream 6. Another movie I wanted to see. Now, at the end of today, we're going to play a new game, which is Does the Code Work? Now, when you go to Mckay's, a lot of their higher end movies, so we're talking movies that might cost $11 or more, are going to be secured in cases. So, if you're somebody who swears by, does this copy have the digital code, Mckay's may not be your place, because if you're looking for more recent films, you might buy it hoping that it has the digital code, and then by the time you get it out, there's no digital code. They don't want people stealing their higher value discs. At the end of the day, we're going to play a new game called Does the Code Work? And we're going to see if any of the codes I've purchased for any of these movies work. Scream 6, going back. Scream 6, I picked up at Mckay's for $14.95 retail in store credit, which again is about what this movie goes for retail. In fact, current Amazon used listing has this at $12.79. eBay has this at $11.35. Which meant, on paper, I overspent by $3.60. It has the code, and we'll see if this code works at the end of our time together today. Let's keep another thing in mind when I talk about how much money things cost me at Mckay's. I always have trade credit, and I always come in with more things to trade. So that will always offset whatever the cost ends up being. Because I always get a little, I get a little angry. Not actually angry. I get a little frustrated at people who go to Mckay's and buy Switch games, and the Switch games are at retail price or sometimes even right above retail price, and they're thinking, why would I ever pay that when I can buy it new? Well, that's because it's a trade credit store. You're supposed to have trade credit to help offset the cost of that. I think some people just like to complain. I like to complain sometimes, hence this channel. But I'm trying to be more positive in my life. That's another reason why I love having this channel, is I can channel my creative outputs and I can just talk to you all. And then I can edit out all the stuff that doesn't work. Next item I picked up at Mckay's is a movie that I've wanted to see for years. Peter Hyams' Capricorn 1, which costs Mckay's trade credit of $12.95. Costs Mckay's trade credit of $12.95. And this is a movie that has such a great premise. I've always wanted to see it. Essentially, the government fakes a Mars landing and the shuttle explodes, and they have to keep all of the astronauts captive because the world can't know that we faked a landing. Great premise. Great premise. Absolutely love that premise. This release cost $12.95 in Mckay's price. The Amazon lowest price is $14.91. You're thinking, eh? But the lowest eBay recent sold listing is $9.46. So if I'd spent actual money, I would have overspent by $3.49. And of course, since this is an older release, there's no code. Not that I stream anything anyway. My wife always asks, what do you use these codes for when they do work? Do you actually sit down and watch the movies? No. No, I don't. I just like to see if the code works. If I like the movie, I'll hold it in my hands and buy it, like Frankenhooker. I streamed it, but then I had to go buy it. Next movie I picked up is a little movie by the name of Cat's Eye. Cat's Eye is a Stephen King anthology film about this cat that wanders through various stories. I've always wanted to see this. I love a horror anthology. I love a Stephen King film. And this costs $10.95 in Mckay's credit. Amazon price used comes to $8.95, and the most recent eBay listing sold $6.94. So on paper, I overspent by $4.01. The next movie I picked up is the Simpsons movie. I've been looking for this used for over a year. Now, why have I been looking for this used for over a year? Well, one, I've wanted to see this again for so long, but two, I saw a Reddit post about a year ago about somebody who got this Crayola movie. This bootleg Crayola movie that came in a Crayola yellow Blu Ray case, which matches Simpsons yellow. I've got that movie in my closet, and later I'll show you all exactly what that looks like when I actually do a case swap. I've been looking for this for so long that my wife was planning on buying it for me for Christmas. This cost Mckay's price $8.95, Amazon price $7.81, eBay $7.92. Technically, I would have overspent $1.14 on this release. The next movie I picked up is one that instantly shot up to the top of my list based on how much I enjoyed Hellboy 2: The Golden Army. And that's a movie by the name of The Shape of Water. I've wanted to see this for a while. I will pay the price to see it. This movie retails at Mckay's for $8.95. Amazon used price $6.99. eBay sold listing $7.17. Technically, I would have overspent $1.96 on this release. No code. Next movie I picked up is based off of my recent appreciation for the 2025 Superman movie and most of the second season of Peacemaker. Didn't love that ending, but I picked up James Gunn's Super. Essentially, he and the team behind Kick-Ass made very similar movies at around the same time. James ended up coming out second. So this is kind of a forgotten about film, but this is technically, the first James Gunn film in that superhero genre, not counting the Supers. I don't think anybody counts the Supers. But this is a movie I've wanted to see. Stars Rainn Wilson. It's a James Gunn out there, what if a normal guy who's mentally unstable tries to be a superhero movie, around when that was actually happening in the news. This cost at Mckay's $8.95. Amazon price $16.57. eBay price $24.47, which means at the bare minimum, this movie saved me $7.62. That's why I love Mckay's. You never know what you're going to find. You can walk in and spend hours going through all the different shelves. I didn't buy everything that I picked up because it goes in waves. It goes in waves. And then I picked up Star Trek V: The Final Frontier, just the standard release. I've been getting all of the Star Trek films as cheap as I can so I can sit down and kind of watch them all through. The only one I've ever seen is Wrath of Khan, and I kind of want to watch all of them now, because I have a new appreciation for old Star Trek. This cost me at Mckay's $4.95. Most recent Amazon listing is $6.48, and eBay listing being $9.69. So this one saved me $1.53 so far. Now let's check in based on what I've spent so far. Right now, based on everything in that stack, I have overspent $4.15. If I had only bought these 8 things, and if I had spent actual money, overspent $4.15. But then I got my trade credit. Knoxville processes things very fast. I had done my laps, and I finally realized I hadn't checked this section yet, the new arrivals. And while I was standing there, we had been there like an hour, hour and a half, I saw him say, "Hold on, I got some new movies here. You got some good horror films." And I watched him put out the movies that I had just traded in. That's never happened. That has never, ever happened to me, and that was fun to see. They didn't take everything that I traded in, because you never know what they're going to take back. The first movie they did not take back is Public Enemies, which makes sense. This was a No Man's Land bargain movie when I bought it, and it's still a No Man's Land bargain movie, which is why they didn't take it. The one that surprised me is they did not take Halloween 3, and I think that's because, again, this is kind of the box set release without a barcode, so maybe that's why they ended up not taking it, as there wasn't anything to match it with. So, Halloween 3 I'm stuck with, at least for the near future. Not a bad film to be stuck with. But I started with $36 in trade credit when I came into the store, and based on my pile, they gave me $114 in trade credit, which meant I have $150 in trade credit, which means that I did not leave there with only 8 items. I left there with 14 items. Next movie I ended up picking up. So let me get this stack out of the way. Now you can see why I had to film this on lunch. I gotta get my office cleaned up. Now I can talk about this stack. First movie I quickly added onto that pile based on that trade credit is a little movie by the name of Big Trouble in Little China. I've never seen it. I'm a big John Carpenter fan, becoming more and more of a fan of Kurt Russell, and I've never seen Big Trouble in Little China. Can't wait to see this one. It sounds right up my alley. It's like the only straight-up comedy, essentially, that John Carpenter ended up making. This release is the standard release from 20th Century Fox that costs at Mckay's $5.95. Amazon listing is $13.88. eBay listing is $12.95, which means this release saved me $7. Next film I added on is the Expendables trilogy. My wife's been interested in seeing these, and as we've seen more and more action films, and we've seen more and more things like the Fast and Furiouses, and I've developed a new appreciation for Jason Statham, I was like, we could finally sit down and at least try the Expendables films. I'm sure they're not quality, but maybe they'll be a fun, bad time at the very least. This trilogy cost me at Mckay's $4.95. Amazon price is $7.85. eBay price is $7.47, meaning this saved me $2.52 at Mckay's. And we have a code. The next movie I picked up is I just said, I've developed a new appreciation for Jason Statham. He really helped the Fast and Furious franchise out there near the end. And I really enjoyed most of the first Transporter. At the very least, the first half. And I've been wanting to rewatch Crank, and I've been wanting to watch Transporter 2 and Transporter 3. And while I was there, in the action section, I found this release here. That is Crank 1, Crank 2, and Transporter 3. No code, but all 3 of these movies are shoved on one disc. This is some Mill Creek stuff. Even though this is actually from the actual studio, this is what Lionsgate did at the time. They shoved 3 movies from the mid-2000s on one disc in HD. I'm sure the quality is terrible, but when it comes to Crank 1 and Crank 2, I'm not sure I'm going to notice that. This cost $3.95 at Mckay's. I could not find this exact release on Amazon. The only one I could find had 4 movies, including a copy of War. Could not find this release, so I do not have anything from Amazon to price match this with, but I did find it on eBay, and it cost $3.49 from a sold listing with free shipping, so I overspent 50 cents. And I still have to find Transporter 2. Next movie I picked up has always been a curiosity of mine because I've never heard anybody talk about it. It's The Devil's Own, starring Harrison Ford and 90s Brad Pitt. I've never heard anybody talk about this movie. But it's got Harrison Ford and 90s Brad Pitt. It can't be that bad. I'll watch it and let you know in the future. This cost at Mckay's $3.95. Amazon, $14 used. eBay, $14.62 used. This release saved me $10.05. Now, if you thought you heard a code shaking around, you didn't. It's just a little Sony leaflet telling you all about how to enjoy 3D Blu Rays from Sony Pictures, even though this is a 2D action film from the 90s. Sony's never made sense. Next movie I picked up was again at the second floor at the tail end over by the Simpsons movie. I had to go back for this. And this is the Robot Chicken DC Comics special. I've learned that I have a certain affinity for Robot Chicken. I know all of it has not aged the best, but it's essentially a perfect sketch format. And it just has some earthiness to it. What do I mean by that? It just feels so much more tangible because it's an animated format, but it's stop motion, and it's pop culture, but it's got some talented people behind it. I'm going to try to find the entire series used piecemeal, and I really think Robot Chicken is going to be one of those things like The Simpsons that's going to go on for too long, and people are going to start, highlighting the best moments of the series. Now they've shifted from doing full seasons to only doing specials, which I think works as long as those teams stay employed because they're very talented people. This is the first DC Comics special. I didn't pick up the Star Wars Episode 3 special on Blu Ray because I'm hoping to import the trilogy because overseas they released all 3 Star Wars Robot Chicken specials on Blu Ray. So, this cost me $4.95 to get this special on Blu Ray. Amazon price used $13.98. No one's bought it on eBay recently, so this saved me $9.03. And I get to enjoy some Robot Chicken. If you want to see why I love these things, watch the Superman compilation on YouTube from their official channels. It's really good. It gets the ball rolling of the comic jokes that Kevin Smith made in Mallrats. Robot Chicken essentially picks up that torch and carries it the rest of the way. Next movie I picked up is one that I've been looking for a while. I saw it last year, 2 years ago, and it's a movie by the name of Phone Booth. And Phone Booth only got released once. Only got released once in this standard, feel the HD mid-2000s format, when every movie looks like this on the back, No love, no expertise, just take the file, shove it on a disc, send it out to stores. And this costs $3.95. And I saw that and I said, that's coming home with me. That's going on my shelf. I love Phone Booth. Phone Booth cost on Amazon $23.11. Cost on eBay $20.42. This saved me $16.47. Yes! So let's look at adding in this stack here to what I've saved so far. Adding in that stack. So taking from that previous pile, adding in this stack of savings, I have now saved $40.42. Now that's something. I went from overspending $4.15 to now I have saved $40.42. That's checking in. That's checking in. Because you're thinking, okay, he bought 14 movies. He saved $40. He's within his trade credit limit. That's when I gotta betray your trust again, because I didn't buy 14 items. I bought 30 because I hadn't gone to no man's land. I hadn't gone to the bargain section. You go to a Mckay's bargain section and you have any money burning a hole in your pocket. That's a reason why I only limit myself to using trade credit here whenever possible. Because you go to no man's land, if you see it, it is cheap. If you want to see it, it's cheaper than hunting it down, and you don't have to worry about finding it again. First movie I picked up from no man's land. When a Stranger Calls / Happy Birthday to Me. I'd seen Happy Birthday to Me. I ended up picking that Mill Creek release from Mckay's. Ended up not loving it and traded it back in, but I've never seen When a Stranger Calls. This is also a Mill Creek release. Hence, 2 movies on 1 disc. Again, some Mill Creek stuff from Mill Creek. But I now get to finally see When a Stranger Calls, one of the classic, iconic horror trope films. This costs $2.95 at Mckay's. Amazon price $11.61. eBay listing $7.87. This release saved me a minimum of $4.92. Next movie I picked up, a well-regarded Jason Statham movie known as The Bank Job. This is a release, and again, you can tell the people who buy these movies, when they all they do is slice down the top and maybe take the shrink wrap off, but they leave this on. I don't know why anybody leaves this on their releases. But anyway, $2.95 at Mckay's. Has a code. We will see if this code works later. Amazon price of $5.13, eBay listing of $6, saved me a minimum of $2.18. Get to watch some more Jason Statham. He is amazing at what he does if the movie allows him to do it. That's why I get a kick out of every time I open Amazon. I get an ad for The Beekeeper and The Working Man, or A Working Man. It's like, these are not what we should have Jason Statham do. We should have him wear a suit and do cool things. He irradiates it. He's perfect at that. You can't have Jason Statham playing everyman. He's too handsome. He's too suave. Have him be James Bond for all I care. Actually, that'd be perfect. Have Jason Statham be James Bond. I know Amazon's currently shopping, and Amazon seems to really like him based off Beekeeper and Working Man. Next movie I picked up is a movie I've been wanting to watch again for about a decade by the name of Premium Rush. Because you know me, I love low budget, high concept. Premium Rush is a classic concept of just, he's a bike messenger and people keep dying as he's trying to deliver his package. Perfect. $1.95 at Mckay's. Amazon price $7.96. eBay listing $6.47, saved me $4.52 on this release. The House with a Clock in Its Walls. Eli Roth's children's film. Cost at Mckay's $1.95, Amazon price $6.16, eBay listing $5.76, saved me $3.81. There's a code. Next movie I picked up is a little movie that I've always wanted to see by the name of The American. George Clooney plays a spy. Essentially, from what I've heard, this is essentially George Clooney playing James Bond. Cost at Mckay's 95 cents. Amazon price $6.32. eBay listing $7.96. Saved me $5.37 at the minimum. We've got a code. Next movie I picked up is another Jason Statham film, no surprise to anybody at this point, is a movie by the name of The Mechanic. The Mechanic is one that I've wanted to see based on his premise, where essentially he's an assassin that kills people, makes it look like accidents. Good premise. Cost at Mckay's $2.95, Amazon price is $6.25, eBay listing $5.87, saved me $2.92 on this release. And it's also a weird repairing of Jason Statham and Donald Sutherland, who were last in The Italian Job together. Again, I hate that my brain's able to remember all these connections. Next movie I picked up basically just because it is a no man's land staple. You go to any Mckay's, you're going to see at least 12 copies of Bridesmaids, and at the very least, 6 copies of a movie called Spy. Spy, I picked up at Mckay's for 95 cents. I've heard it's a good time. I've not seen any Paul Feig movies outside of 2016's Ghostbusters, which has its moments, but is not especially great. But I've heard this might be his best movie, and it's got Jason Statham and Jude Law in it playing spies, which means how could it be bad? Well, it's got Melissa McCarthy in the lead. But anyway, it costs 95 cents, and the most recent Amazon used listing is $6.25, and eBay also being $6.25. So this saved me $5.30. We've got a code. Let's see if it works later. Next movie I picked up is a movie I will tell you is a pure blackout film. It's a movie that I have never heard of. It's a movie that I know nothing about. But I saw it in no man's land, which means if it's a movie I ever want to think about seeing, I'll pick it up because it's cheaper than a sandwich. It's cheaper than a snack in the vending machine at my office. This is a movie by the name of Nature Calls, which I picked up for two reasons. It's got Patton Oswalt in the lead and stars Patrice O'Neal in some capacity. I didn't know Patrice ever made it to films, and as somebody who's enjoyed some of his comedy, I'd like to see Patrice on the big screen, even in this capacity. This is a new release. I would say new with question marks, because I'm going to say it's used because it's had the slipcover removed, but no one's actually cut the shrink wrap off the top, which normally means somebody just bought it, opened it, got the code, and then sold it. But I don't think this release actually had a code in it, so I'm not sure why somebody would take the shrink wrap off, but not the the upper bit. But anyway, this movie cost me at Mckay's $1.95. Amazon price is $6.42. eBay listing is $5.99, which means if I wanted to pay this movie separately, would cost me $4.04 more. Next movie I picked up is one fresh off of a recent Red Letter Media video, The Peanut Butter Solution. Now, this is not the Severin release of this film. Apparently, this movie got a release in Canada on Blu Ray about 10 or so years ago, which is why all of the text is in French on the back. And you can see there's there's a topographical map in barcodes there, which means this movie has had many price changes. I'm gonna try to play this later to see if I can see what this original movie cost. But anyway, this movie is one I wanted to see based off of that Red Letter Media video, and seeing it in no man's land is kind of like a ding ding ding, pick it up now, you can watch it whenever. This costs at Mckay's $1.95. Amazon listing $13, eBay listing $21.79. Saved me $11.05. But since again it's from Canada, it's from exactly French Canada because all of the text is in French, even inside the movie. So hopefully it's got English audio. I'll let you know whenever I get around to watching this. That was a great find in no man's land. Absolute gem to find there. Also, I found a little movie by Boondock Saints 2, the director's cut. I really enjoyed the first Boondock Saints. I could not believe how much I enjoyed the first Boondock Saints. But I ended up wanting to see this movie because I know this is the only two movies the guy has made. I know it's got the exact same cast coming back. I've heard the complaint about this film, it's got way too little Willem Dafoe. I think all movies have a little too little Willem Dafoe in them, but this movie cost at Mckay's $2.95. Amazon price $6.98, eBay listing $9.74, saved me $4.03. Can't wait to see Boondock Saints 2. And this also includes the director's cut, and unlike Mill Creek, I've got one cut on each disc. We don't do that anymore. Next movie I picked up is, again, a movie. Even though it stars Willem Dafoe, may have too little Willem Dafoe in it, is a movie by the name of The Hunter. This is a movie that I saw at an online film festival about 11 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but it was around the time it hit theaters, and there was an online film festival that I had access to at that time. I think it was through the library. This film, I remember being enjoyable, but I really wanted to see it again, being that it's kind of like a drama about Willem Dafoe, who's been hired to hunt an animal that, as far as we know, is extinct. But it's more about like him dealing with that, being a big game hunter, killing possibly the last of an animal. That's an interesting concept to me. I love Willem Dafoe in everything. This movie cost $1.95 since it is a no man's land bargain film. Amazon price is $6.73. eBay listing $5.48. This saved me at least $3.53. The remake of The Jungle Book is one that I've been curious to rewatch. Is a remake that I've been wanting to rewatch since I rented this when it first hit video many, many years ago. I remember thinking it was decent to good. Now this is of course the film that Jon Favreau made before he went and made the Lion King remake. And I'm curious to see how much of the Lion King remake's problems can be found in this Jungle Book retelling. Because I remember it not being a one-to-one remake of the source material, unlike Lion King. But I'm very curious in rewatching this. Cost at Mckay's $1.95. Amazon price $5.13. eBay sold listing $10.25. Don't know why anybody would spend $10.25 on this movie. $3.18 saved minimum. No code. We're almost over the hill, people. Next movie I picked up is a movie that I know is notorious for being shelved, sat on the shelf for years, and then lost a whole lot of money. It's a movie by the name of Monster Trucks. Now, this movie, I believe, is new, and I believe it is, like it says, it is a promo. It's like a press-released copy. Despite all of that, this movie is such a notorious bomb and a stinker that lost so much money that it is at no man's land, even though this is brand spanking new and it's even a promotional copy. This cost at Mckay's $1.95, Amazon price $4.26, eBay sold listing $5.64, saved me a minimum of $2.31. It's new, but I want to see if the code is in here since it is a promo copy. A lot of the times, these promo copies that they send to press are everything except for the code. So, survey says, we've got a code. Next movie. It's another movie that lost a whole lot of money. It's Steven Spielberg's The BFG. I love the book. I love all of Roald Dahl's books. The man was amazing at coming up with these creative worlds, and I really hate that he's not had that many good adaptations of his work. I just saw IHE's review of The Twits on Netflix, and I hate that Netflix has the current exclusive Roald Dahl license because, you know, they're not giving it the proper prose and time and talent that's needed to properly adapt these works. Because even if it's done properly, you know, this is Steven Spielberg. This is a movie he wanted to make for many, many years. Comes out, it tanks. I'm curious to see this because I wanted to see it when it came out, and it's one of those movies that the word of mouth was so immediately bad that it lost a lot of money for Disney. But anyway, cost at Mckay's $1.95. Amazon price is $6.38. eBay listing $5.15, saved me $3.20. No code. Unsurprising. I was so excited to see at No Man's Land a new copy of Transporter 2, which means I don't have to skip 2 and go to 3 on that Crank 3-pack. Transporter 2, brand new as far as I can tell. It's got some weird shrink wrap, but the top line is undisturbed, which lets me know this is brand spanking new. Cost at Mckay's $1.95. Based off the most recent new listings, this cost $6.49 on Amazon and $6.75 on eBay. I'll have to update the slide for it. Somehow the slide didn't make it in here. I got a movie by the name of Kick-Ass. Wanted to see Kick-Ass again for years. Haven't seen it since it first came to video. Cost me $2.95 at Mckay's. It does have a code. We will see if that code works. Yeah, I will have the price updated here in the slideshow. I apologize that somehow this slipped through on my pre-work. I apologize for that. But anyway, everything coming together. This is the running total of all the money that we've saved. I believe Kick-Ass should be in here. Don't know why the slide's updated. If something changed, I'll fix it here. Which means I saved this much at Mckay's. And this was the total of my Mckay's haul. I bought 30 Blu Rays. Came to $143.40. Which means if I had only spent my trade credit, I would have been fine. But I also picked up 3 Christmas ornaments. I picked up a party game. We picked up 3 puzzles. We picked up a craft. And we picked up these adorable Blockbuster pins. At the Gauntlet by checkout, they had all of these pins, like if you worked at Blockbuster at the time, and you would have to advertise your upcoming releases. Like Spider-Man 2, June 30th. The Tigger movie, own it on DVD and video, August 22nd. Mickey's House of Villains, new on DVD and video, September 3rd. These were all 95 cents each. And then the one I wanted. Fat Albert, own it, March 22nd. That's a threat. You tell somebody you need to own Fat Albert, the live action movie, that's a threat. And then while I was getting these, my wife said, "Did you see the one about the Butt Ugly Martians?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Please buy the one about the Butt Ugly Martians. It's a pin." I can't imagine the poor wage slave, Blockbuster, EB Games, whatever employee that had to wear this for a week that says, "Ask me about the Butt Ugly Martians video games." That's a find there. 95 cents. So all of that together came to a total of $190.80, which with my trade credit of $150.60 brought it on down to $40.20 plus tax, meant that I had to spend $43.92 out of my remaining $100, which meant I had $56.08 left over for my trip. Now I'm a crazy man. Orbit was the halfway stop on the way back. So I had some money left over, and we went to Orbit again. Which means let me take this stack, put it out of the way. When I tell you all I'm the hermit coming down from the mountain, I'm not buying any movies for a while. This is essentially my streaming service for the next year. We went back to Orbit, and I bought a couple more things. First being a movie by the name of Link. Now, this is the Kino release. Now, this is the poster for this movie. That's an orangutan holding a lit match. Okay. And it says, "An experiment in terror." And Elizabeth Shue looks horrified. I'm like, what the hell is this movie? I look it up. It's a movie about a killer orangutan that I think smokes a cigar in one scene. You need to tell me I got a monkey movie? I love monkey movies. This, at Orbit, cost me used $12.99. Amazon price is $15.65. eBay sold listing $12.02. So I ended up overspending 97 cents on this movie. But what can you really overspend on a fun monkey movie? Which leads me to the other monkey movie I picked up. I have seen Monkey Shines before. I've never seen this Laserdisc release of the film, but I've streamed Monkey Shines before, and it recently came to 4K courtesy of Shout Factory. Now, if you're like me, you saw the flags get rung up about Shout Factory and how, even though they say they're doing fine, now we're all worried about how long is Shout Factory going to be around. And since this is a movie that I had wanted to see again, I ended up biting the bullet and buying the Shout Factory 4K release of this movie, which costs $30. Which is a lot for me to spend on one movie, but I had already seen it before, and it's a good time. This on Amazon at the current price not on sale because it's on sale at the time of recording, but at the day I bought this movie, it cost $36.98 on Amazon. eBay, $28.99, which means technically I overspent $1 on this, but I got to hold it in my hands and actually, pull it down off the shelf. And then the last movie I picked up is the Severin release of Dario Argento's opera. I've not seen any Dario Argento films yet. I've not seen Suspiria or anything like that. Not seen any of his other masterworks. But I saw the trailer for this on the 80s version of a trailer compilation. I believe it was the Drive-In Delirium. But anyway, I've seen the trailer for Opera, and it looks horrifying, but it also looks very interesting. So when I saw that they had it there new on Blu Ray for $23.99, I said, you know what, I'll treat myself to Opera. Amazon price was $20.99 for this release. eBay sold listing of $14.46, which means I overspent $9.53, but I got to support small business. That's another thing. When you end up spending more than the cost of what something would cost you online, when you overspend at that locally, especially at an independent retailer, you're not giving to a megacorp. You're giving that money to individual people who run individual businesses. So I have no problem overspending at a place like Orbit or even at Mckay's because I like, giving back to my little economy of people who like movies and movie stores. Which meant at the moment, on this trip to Orbit, I will have overspent $11.50. And I gotta betray your trust again, because Orbit has a bargain section. And their bargain section is $5.99 each, or 5 for $15. And I need a 5 for $15 like I need another hole in my head. But this is, again, a bargain section bonus round. $5.99 each, or 5 for $15. Gee, what a lovely burden. First thing I picked up that was just like, well, if I see enough, I'll get it. This is somehow so common that it's in the bargain section. Now, I've never seen this show, but this is the Netflix Emmys For Your Consideration Season 4 of Longmire. In this beautiful, beautiful cardboard book that they sent out to Emmys voters. With the entire show on DVD. This is going to go with my For Your Consideration screener of The Irishman, because they don't do these anymore. This costs at Orbit $5.99, if you ever find it there again. Such a unique piece that I will get it just for the collection, even though I'm probably not going to see this show. Especially if we're talking about a Netflix property on physical media. Amazon, of course, does not have this listed anywhere since it's not a product that's supposed to be for sale. But eBay had it most recently sold for $9, which means that this saved me $3.01. I picked up a little Ben Affleck movie by the name of Paycheck. I had not seen this since I was a child, but I wanted to see it. I know it's got Paul Giamatti in it, and I'm always curious to see Paul Giamatti. Love Paul Giamatti. But I'll tell you, I'm really glad they didn't do this to the Longmire book. One of my few gripes with Orbit, outside of the ability that I can't find anything, is that when you buy a used movie from Orbit, it's just the case on the shelf. And then when you take it to check out, they get the disc out of their filing system and put it back into the case. White gloves and all of that. When you go to the bargain section of Orbit, to keep people from stealing the discs, they tape them shut with clear, almost like packing tape to keep people from investigating. So I have no idea how Now Orbit does say they will only take gently watched movies in trade-in. But now I'm stuck pulling off this tape from each and every one of these movies and the tape's leaving residue. I'm damaging the case with my fingernails, trying to get it off the case. It's one of my few gripes with this store. Fine store, fine people, but I think they need to figure out a better way to do their bargain section. Anyway, this cost me at Orbit $5.99, but again, I got the 5 for $15, as you'll see here in a minute. Amazon most recent sold of the, Amazon lowest price of the used listing is $8.95. eBay is $11.47, which means I saved a minimum of $2.96. This is Hitman Unrated. One of the first time they tried to make a Hitman movie starring one, the only, Timothy Olyphant. I wanted to see this movie, especially since I've become such a fan of the recent Hitman trilogy that's been released. I can't wait for their James Bond game, even though I am waiting with bated breath because I don't want to know how much always online features they add into that, since that's kind of what's killed a lot of the Hitman game for me. But I picked this up at Orbit for $5.99. Trying to peel the tape off as I talk. Save me some time here. Amazon price lowest for this release is $6.70, with the lowest eBay sold listing recently being $6.65, meaning that this saved me 66 cents. Next one I found. It's a little movie by the name of Midnight in Paris. Now, I'm somebody that will tell you I believe Woody Allen is an overrated filmmaker. And I don't think his crimes outweighs his art. But if there's ever a Woody Allen movie that I'm interested in seeing or re-seeing, I have to buy it used to make sure that Woody Allen gets absolutely no money from me. Now, this is a movie that has a very fun premise and a very good cast. It's a movie I've seen before, but I've not seen it again since high school. This movie is $5.99, used at Orbit. Amazon lowest sold price, the lowest Amazon price for this used is $9.29, with eBay being $7.96. This saved me $1.97 off getting it anywhere else. I got one more movie in my stack, and that is Open Season in 3D. This case has been beat to hell and back. And even this case is taped shut. This is a movie that, again, I'm very interested in seeing, since it's really the start of modern Sony Pictures animation, for better and for worse. And it's a movie, again, I've not seen since I was a child, and I rented this from Blockbuster. This cost me at Orbit $5.99. This is the 3D release, which is a format that I actually do collect. And this is $7.80 on Amazon. eBay sold $6.18. I saved $1.97, even though I'm going to have to do a case swap on this thing. What's the damage? Adding in all of this trip, including the bargain center, I overspent by $2.71. Before we add in the additional $15 discount for the 5 for $15, which means I ended up saving $12.24 on this third stop. But I did go over budget. This bundle ended up costing me $87.80 because, again, I bought Monkey Shines, I bought Opera, I went to the bargain section, which meant I overshot my overall budget by $31.72. I failed, but I will not be buying any movies for a long time, so this will definitely balance out across my regular budget. But here's the big thing. Combining all three trips, I saved $127.93 compared to not buying local. I spent $231.72, and I ended up bringing home 44 movies. Now I'm going to go back into the wilderness and not buy anything for a long, long time. Now this has been a long video, I'm sure. I'm still shooting the raw right now over a couple periods. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said, there will be more videos coming up. I reviewed all 3 hotels that I stayed in. I'm very excited to talk about those. And we will have again that upcoming video about what to do if you buy something that's outside of your region. We're gonna see if these codes work. We were 6 for 8. That's not bad. I'm gonna try to see if I can put both of these codes into iTunes, see if that will work separately, if I've got iTunes up and running on a computer, but I will update that here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all next time on Book Club for Movies. Have a good week, everyone.